and rise for the singing of the national anthems.
My name is Bruce Prince. Manny Landau and I serve as co-presidents of the Jewish Community Council of Greater Teaneck. From its inception, the Jewish Community Council has maintained a unifying presence that has fostered peace, growth, and health amongst its members. For many years now, the Yom Hashoa Commemoration has taught and reminded us of the lessons of the Holocaust. This morning, the ADL announced that there were 34% more incidents of anti-Semitism than in the prior year. And 2017 looks worse. In the first 3 months of this year, there has been an increase of 86% of reports over the previous time last year. Bigots and hate mongers no longer need to hide in the shadows and dispense their vitriol. They are on our TV screens, our computer screens, and they're arrogant and they're present, and we watch this. It's certainly a time to pause and think what's going on. But it's fitting that we're here tonight together. We've come to mourn and acknowledge those who perished in the Holocaust. But we've also come together so we'll never lose sight of these lessons of horror that we commemorate this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. It's been my privilege to address you for many years and to express my appreciation to this wonderful committee that puts together a program of such good taste and solemnity, and to serve as president together with Bruce and other people in the past of the Jewish Community Council, where I've had the opportunity to serve the community and help bring people together in appreciation and harmony of each other. And I am grateful to have the opportunity again to greet you all and wish you well. And my customary final announcement is that we will be having a Maariv service at the end of the program, which will take place approximately there a few minutes after we end. Thank you all for being here, and God bless you all.
I'm sorry. I wish to acknowledge our dignitaries and our visitors tonight who have come to commemorate this solemn moment with us. We want to welcome the presence of, bear with me a second, okay? Well, first of all, I want to thank the mayor, Mohammed Doudad, to be here as well. And if you don't mind joining me on the stage, we have two presentations we're going to be talking about. And I have to apologize for my notes that don't seem to have all the information I need to have, but I have some of them here, so just bear with me 1 second longer. The town council, by the way, is here in big numbers. We, of course, have Loretta Weinberg. We're welcome tonight to have Josh Gottenheimer, our newly elected representative, and we have a proclamation that will be presented by the mayor. We have Freeholder Chairwoman Tracy Zillner. We have Councilman Mark Schwartz. We have Councilman Javon Bromney Rice, as well as Mary and Dr. Pruitt, of course. And with that, I welcome the mayor to the podium.
Good evening. I'd also like to acknowledge that we have freeholders Jermaine Ortiz with us tonight, and freeholder Mary Amoroso is also here with us tonight. I'd like to thank you for giving me a few moments to read this proclamation that the township puts together every year. After coming here for the last 9 years, this becomes a very big day of reflection for myself of what I'm going to say and what I'm going to talk about and how I feel. And every year I say a prayer that maybe next year it'll be better, and next year that hate, intolerance, and indifference will be wiped off from the face of this earth. And that's why it is very important, and I salute the members of the Jewish community in Teaneck to making sure that we always remember and we never forget the events of the Holocaust. And I will read the last portion of our proclamation. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Township Council and the Township of Teaneck, do hereby proclaim the week of April 23rd, 2017 through April 30th, 2017 as days of remembrance in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and in honor of the survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further proclaim that we, as citizens of the Township of Teaneck, should strive to overcome intolerance and indifference through learning and remembrance. We also have a proclamation from Josh Gottheimer's office, and we also have a joint resolution from our Senate Majority Leader, Senator Loretta Weinberg, and I'll read from that. Where the Senate and the General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to join the Holocaust Commemoration Committee of the Jewish Community Council of Greater Teaneck in honoring and saluting, this is for a joint resolution for, I apologize. This is a joint resolution for the Speaker, and she sent it over to, for the Speaker when she has, and it's signed by the Senate President and the Speaker of the General Assembly. So thank you, Senator Weinberg. And thank you, Tim.
Good evening and welcome to our 35th Annual Holocaust Commemoration. I am Heidi Fuchs, and along with Felicia Grossman and Steve Fox, chair the Jewish Community Council of Greater Teaneck's Holocaust Commemoration Committee. We are most excited to have launched our campaign to erect a permanent Holocaust memorial on the Township Municipal Green. Additional information about the memorial and how to get involved in ushering it along may be found in the lobby. We ask that you turn your attention to the memorial video.
I was a child Holocaust survivor. I spent 2 years hiding literally in a barn at the age of 3 with my parents, my aunt, and I lost most of my family members during the war.
My father was a survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto who, after losing much of his family, became a partisan. In tribute to him and others like him, I became part of a wonderful group of volunteers who produces an extremely meaningful annual Holocaust commemoration in Teaneck.
My father and his parents are survivors of the Holocaust. My grandmother was born in Kremenetz, Poland in 1914 and witnessed the Nazis slaughter nearly her entire family.
I know a little bit about the Holocaust, but most of my friends don't really know anything. A survivor once spoke to her class, and we were really shocked at what she said.
As the numbers of survivors continued to diminish, a number of us felt that it was increasingly important to establish a permanent Holocaust memorial in the community to assure the survivors they will not be forgotten and educate the public about the lessons to be learned about the Holocaust.
When I heard about this project, I felt that it was really important so that people would know what we went through.
We wanted something unique, not just a memorial, but an education center that provides an organic means of teaching lessons of hatred and bigotry. We spent over 4 years working with our town council and our neighbors and finally received permission to come up with a plan.
We were given one of 4 35-foot by 35-foot sites with the challenge of fulfilling the committee's goal of memorializing the martyrs while also creating a space that will support our educational goals and inspire visitors of all ages and backgrounds.
The educational heart of the design will be a 50-foot-long reading rail that uses state-of-the-art technologies that will convey an overview of Holocaust history and focus on local survivor testimonies. The outdoor exhibit will be reinforced by opportunities for learning through multimedia technologies and discussion, both on the site and within the Teaneck Library.
At the Teaneck Library, we are committed to expand the facilities of the Holocaust Memorial and Education Center, which will be part of the Garden to Nurture Human Understanding on the Municipal Green. We plan to allocate space for a lecture center, a cultural kiosk with rotating exhibits, a large meeting room, and a digital display wall.
Anti-Semitism, unfortunately, is alive and only growing stronger. With the recent spike of anti-Semitic incidents nationwide, including cemetery desecrations, bomb threats to Jewish institutions, and the rampant BDS activity on college campuses, we in our community must do our part in combating baseless hatred. The establishment of a public Holocaust memorial and educational center right here in northern New Jersey is a vital step in that direction.
Don't let the world forget what the Nazis did to us.
Help us teach future generations.
Help educate kids like me to know what happened and to learn from it.
Help us build this legacy to the martyrs.
This evening's program is the culmination of 12 months of planning and oversight by a devoted committee of over 30 volunteers, along with a number of individuals whose efforts are integral to its success. You may refer to your program for a list of names. Missing from this list is Heather Todd Schleeper and her amazing staff of students who really ran the audiovisual needs for this evening. An exhibit by noted photographer Debbie Teicholz-Gudalia, is being hosted in the Teaneck Public Library throughout the month of April and the Bergenfield Public Library throughout the month of May. We encourage you to visit the exhibit. Our program this year is dedicated to two dear friends and longtime committee members who recently passed away. Tonight we remember Arnold Hiller and Renee Stein Getz. Their friendship, boundless energy, and devotion to our committee are truly missed. Last year, my family had the good fortune of having a private audience with Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, one of the youngest survivors of Buchenwald, who in 1945 was just 8 years old when the camp was liberated. Descended from a 1,000-year unbroken chain of rabbis, Yisrael Meir Lau grew up to become the chief rabbi of Israel. His is a tale of a harrowing, miraculous, and inspiring life in one of the Nazis' deadliest concentration camps, and how he managed to survive against all odds. When asked what commandment he thought was the most worthy one for our family to undertake, Rabbi Lau shared with us a wise insight that helped shape his life. Love your neighbor as yourself. He is also known for his incredible optimism, noting that an optimist sees the cup as half full. From emptiness, you have nothing. Therefore, in life, always try to pay attention to the full part, because from it, you can derive benefit and hope. Tonight, we are honored to have child survivor, Mr. Mark Schonwetter, as our featured speaker. He too was a young child of 6 when his father was taken away by the Nazis and was forced into manhood to help his family carry on. As one of the few survivors of his town, his tale is one of a harrowing, miraculous, and inspiring life as well. Mr. Schonwetter feels blessed to have survived against all odds. His daughter, Anne Arnold, has written a book about his courageous escape from death called Together, A Journey of Survival, copies of which can be found in both the Teaneck and Bergenfield libraries. He has made it his mission to share his story of survival, and this evening we are fortunate to have him share his story with us. I present to you Mark Schonwetter.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. It gives me the opportunity to speak to all of you about my journey for survival during the Holocaust. I lived with my parents in a small town in Poland called Brzostek. My father owned a farm, had some fields, and we had cows, horses, and when the war broke out, then the Germans came into our town. We still live in our farm for not too long, and then the Germans told my father to leave the house and find himself a room someplace to live with his family. My father used to be at that time the head of the Jewish community, and they used to always call him to the police station and ask him about who are the Jews, how many the Jews live there, and so far. At one point, they took my father, they asked him to come to the police station. He went in, and came evening, and he never showed up, come back. Then a woman came in and knocked on the window of where we used to live, and she mentioned to my mom, listen, I heard that the Gestapo was talking and mentioning that in a day or two all the Jews are going to be taken and gone from this town. I suggest that you take your kids and try to run away and hide yourself wherever you can. Let me just mention that in the house where we used to live before, my father had help that worked for him in the fields, and this family was a Polish family that had 2 rooms in our house. So my mom decided where could she go, so she decided, and she went to this gentleman whose name was Pilat, and asked him for kind of advice or help. What should she do? Where should she go? So he mentions to her, well, why don't you leave him with us for overnight, and you go to my cousin, and tomorrow morning I will be there, and I, together with you, figure out what to do. Then he came to me and he says, okay, go and between the kids and sleep there. He had a big family of 8 kids and 2 of them. Next morning, early in the morning, the Gestapo came in with the Polish police, and they asked him, are the Schonwetters with you here hiding? He says, no, they're not here. Well, let me repeat, he says. If we go and we find the Schonwetters here, we're going to kill them and we're going to kill you. So please save us time and tell us. He says, go ahead and take a look. So he tells his policeman, go and look for the Schonwetters. Meanwhile, he goes to the oldest daughter and he asks her, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And she, without any hesitation, thinking too long, says, 9. They count, it is 9. Well, they went and started looking. Unfortunately, they didn't find anybody. But meanwhile, he tells to his kids, get up quick, go outside, take the cows into the field and make yourself busy. Then he comes to me and he tells me, and you go with them, run inside the field, don't come back and hide there. And that's what I did. In the late afternoon, he came in, he took me, we went to my mom, and he says, well, I don't know, but I think the best way for you would be probably to go to a ghetto. So why don't I take you to the ghetto and hopefully you can live down there. So we walked for about 5 hours or so to the next town, which was a larger sized town, where the ghetto was. He brought us in front of the gate. He says, okay, go in and try to find yourself a space here and live there. And that's what we did. Went in, my mom, with me and with my little sister. She was walking around looking for a space to live. It was very difficult because the ghetto was full, packed with people. All the houses, whichever they were in this ghetto, were full with people. People lived in the basements, people lived, if there was one, or they lived in the any place they could, or also lived on the streets, slept on the streets. Well, finally, my mom found a space, a little space in the attic of one of the houses, and we lived in there. The life was very bad, horrible life. We were sick, we had lice, my mom cut our hair. The food, we were lucky twice a day. The Germans told us we can get food. We stood in line, and when we got to the kitchen, They gave us a little soup, which consists basically of little warm water and a little slice of bread. And then in the afternoon, again, we were allowed to stay in line and get another piece of bread and a little soup called. And that's how we lived for about 6 months. The times were very bad, so my mom found a little hole. She found that there is a little hole underneath of those wires of the gate, and she sneaked out occasionally out from the ghetto, and she knew a person in town, so she went there and she asked for a piece of bread, and then she was kind of sneaking back into the ghetto. And one day, while she was doing that, she's walking, and she feels that somebody is walking behind her. But she kind of was hesitant, afraid to turn around and look. But finally, she said there is no end to it. She's walking, and they're still behind her. She turns around, and here are 2 Germans. And they look at her, and they say, okay, where are you coming from? What do you have here under your coat? So she says, well, I'll be honest with you. I sneaked out from the ghetto because I was very hungry, and I stole a loaf of bread. And then I came back. So I said, where do you live? She says, right here on the street, and wherever I can find a spot. So that's how I live, and live on the street. So they look at her, well, we could take you and kill you. However, we will let you go, because in a few days, anyway, the whole ghetto is going to be destroyed, taken away, and everybody's going to go. So go, and then in 2 days you'll be gone anyway. Well, she went back to the place where we used to stay. The following morning, a little boy comes to my mom, and he tells her, there is a gentleman behind the gate, the wire, and he's looking for a Schonwetter. He's asking me if I know her, tell her to come over. If not, try to find her and bring her over here. So he said, but I know you, so I'm telling you, go to him. So she went to this gentleman, looks, and here is Mr. Piwat, who brought us to the ghetto. He's on the other side of the wire, and says to her, well, I found out that the ghetto is going to be liquidated in a few days. Therefore, I want to take you out. So bring your 2 kids, and I help you out to get out from here. So she ran, she brought me, my sister. He took a blanket, threw over the wire, and he says, okay, pick up the kids and throw them over, and I catch them on the other side. Well, we weren't too heavy because it was skin and bone on us only. She threw us over. Then he says, okay, you climb on this and jump over, and I catch you here too. And she did it. She says, let's go into this house. I have some clothes for you. You change. And then we try to get out from the city. I will go first. You take your little daughter and follow me, and you go behind your mom, and you follow her, and they will meet on the outskirts of the town. And that's what we did. And then when we got together again, he says, I have a place for you in a family in one small little village that I talk to the people, I know them, and they will give you a space to hide there. So we walked for a few hours again. We got there, and then he introduced us to the people living in this house, and they say, okay, we have a place for you on the attic, and you're going to sit there, and remember, no talking, No going out, no nothing. You just sit there and that's it. Occasionally, whenever I have some food, I bring you, and you should be okay this way. So we were staying there the whole winter. In the spring, the lady says, well, I'm terribly sorry, but spring is coming. People coming in and working the fields. They passing my house. They may notice you or something. I don't want to take any chances. Why don't you leave the house and find yourself another place? So Mom says, where will I go? What should I do? So the lady says, well, I don't know, but I would suggest, why don't you go to the forest and find yourself a spot and sit there? Well, that's what Mom did. She took me, my little sister, and we went into the forest. We found a spot, and we're sitting there. We lived there. We took a lot of leaves, put it all together, and we sleep on top of those leaves. Now, as far as food, so we were going and looking for wild mushrooms, berries, whatever we could find growing in the forest, we picked, and that's how we live. Occasionally, this gentleman, Piwat, who brought us in there, came in, brought us a loaf of bread, and that's how we were surviving through the summer. Now, when it was raining, we were wet. When sun came back, well, we were sitting and trying to dry out from this rain, and that's how we lived through the summer. When winter came, well, it's very cold, what should we do? So Mom took us and started looking for a place where she went through all different people that she knew a little bit, and she started begging them to take us in. And she got lucky. The people took us in. Again, they put us on the attic, and we lived through the winter there. And then in the summer again, they said, well, you better leave and go and find yourself another place. We went back to the forest, and we lived in the forest. Again, the same way we lived in the forest. Then winter came again. So we went, and Mom looked for a place, and she went to one of the families, and they told Mom, okay, if you want it, the gentleman says, I will keep you. Give me about a couple days, and I will find a spot for you to live. So we came back in a couple days, and he shows us he had a pig, and he went in the pigsty. He took and he dig out a hole under the pigsty, and he says, okay, if you don't mind to sit here, to lay here in this place, then you can stay here. There was enough space just to lay. We couldn't sit or anything. So Mom says, okay, thank you. Yes, we take that. So we went in. He took the boards, he put on top of it, and then he brought the pig back inside, and the pig was on top. We were on the bottom, and that's how we survived through another winter. Occasionally, he took out the pig, and he asked us, why don't you come out for a few minutes, get some fresh air, and straighten out, and then go back. And when he dig the hole, he put a little opening on the side, so occasionally he used to bring us in a piece of bread or some soup, and that's how we lived in this hole, day and night, and under conditions, pretty bad conditions. But we're fortunate that we had a space and we could live there. Then in late 1944, the Russian front was coming very close. and we heard already fighting. We saw the armies moving back and forth. And Mom saw that there is no way we can live in this forest anymore because of the front movement of the armies going back and forth. So she didn't know what to do. However, because of the front getting so close, a lot of people from the villages were escaping and just trying to get in deeper inside the German, Polish territory, still under the Germans, and find some place to stay. So my mom took me and my sister, and we just kind of blend into those crowds of people running away from the front. And then some Polish families were, while people were passing by, they said, okay, let me take 2 of you, let me take 3 of you. And that's how finally somebody told us, why don't you come in and stay with us? So we went there and we lived there. It was a little difficult for us to live because, you know, Polish people are religious people. In the morning, before breakfast, you have to pray. We didn't know anything about it, how to do it. So my mom was telling to us quietly before, she says, you just follow everybody, whatever they do, you just do the same thing. Don't talk, don't say nothing, just do it. And slowly, that's what we were doing. Then Sunday came, everybody was going to church. We had to go to church. So the same thing, my mom was telling us quietly when she had a chance, go and follow what everybody else is doing. You do the same thing. And that's what we were doing. While we were living in this house, people were kind of suspicious. And they were saying, where is your husband? Why are you only with 2 kids? Well, Mom kind of found an explanation, so-called. Well, before we left the village, the Germans came in. They took all the men from this little village. They put them on trucks, and they took them to work someplace. And then we had to run because the front was coming very close. And I don't know, my husband is someplace there, I don't know, working, doing something. That's why. Well, kind of, oh, yeah. But they still didn't believe this. So let me tell you one little story what happened once. While we were staying in this place, some people's neighbors of the house where we lived, they liked to make vodka. And that was against the law because if the Germans would catch you doing that, they would be punished whatever way they found, killed or take to concentration camp or work, labor work, whatever. So when they were doing it, there was a big pot, I call it, and you have to kind of constantly mix this liquid that they had inside so it wouldn't get burned or anything. So at night they were doing it themselves, but when the day came they were afraid that the Germans might come in, so they asked me to go and do that. So I was staying there for a few hours a day and mixed that. But anyway, after they were done with this whole thing, they were filtered this, whatever, and they celebrated this thing. So they called me into this house, and put me in the middle of about 5 guys sitting, these Polish guys, and they start drinking, and each time one shot to the other, l'chaim, let's say, in Polish, and a shot, then another. After a few minutes and having a few of those, I was 10, 11, 12 years old. I was already, didn't know what's going on, so they asked me if I know how to sing. I say, sure. So they tell me, sing songs. So I start singing. But my mom saw that I am not, it's evening, I am not back. She didn't know where. So she walked out, and she'd start walking around and looking where I could be. Finally, she hears a voice, somebody singing, and she recognized my voice. So she goes in and looks through the window. In this moment, she sees that one of the guys takes me, puts me on the floor, and start taking my pants down. So she jumps inside, and she starts screaming, "What are you doing to my kid? What are you doing to my child? I want to rape him, you. I am going to go and tell the police who you are and what you are." And she grabbed me this. Well, the purpose of it was because they want to see if I am circumcised or not. So they want to make sure, because they were so suspicious that we Jews. So that's what they want to see. So she took me out from there. Of course, I was lucky that they didn't see it. And then after about a week or so, she left this place. She found the excuse, and she found another location that we went in. And again, we lived there as a Polish and, refugees from one other village. In the beginning of 1945, finally we saw that everything quieted down, and after a couple days, we saw some soldiers walking. We noticed right away those are not German soldiers. There were different uniforms and everything. So they came in, and they start speaking to all of us in a language which we kind of didn't understand well, but a word here and there we could understand. And they were saying, that they liberated us, we free, the Germans are gone, and we don't have to be scared anymore, and so far. And that's the day that we were liberated. And after that, my mom took me and my sister, we went back to our town. When we got back, we went to our house. However, the house was damaged because of the front going through. And we were there for about a week or so, and she was not comfortable there, and we moved to a larger city. And that's where we start new life, let's say, in this city. So let me just say once again that I am from the generation which is already fading away. There were 6 million Jews killed during the Holocaust. In our town, there were 500 Jewish families that lived. From the 500 families, there were left probably 10 people, including my mom and 2 of us. So today, as a Yom Hashoa comes, and we should remember what happened. We have to be aware of those circumstances under which I lived, and other survivors like me that survived or in the concentration camps, or they survived hiding. We have to remember that this will never happen again. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen to my father. I'm Aunt Schonwetter Arnold, and you just heard my dad's story of survival. I'm a second-generation Holocaust survivor, and as those of you in the audience that share that distinguished honor, as I do, know, we live with that as a badge on our shoulder. Never forget, though, for me, has 2 meanings. We must never forget what has happened. We must tell the stories. We must learn from the stories. But never forget, to me, has a second meaning. Never forget has to also mean we can never forget that there were and are good people in this world. It's sometimes hard to remember that. And quite honestly, growing up, I was pretty cynical. I really didn't have a good feeling about the world. I mean, look what they did to my family. I never met my grandfather. The world pretty much hated us, and I didn't have that really positive outlook. My dad took us back to Poland in the early 90s, and I know some people say they never would go back, but he wanted to show us where he was from. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. We got to see some of the places he was hiding and meet some of the people. But it was our second trip back in 2009 that changed my life forever. There was a professor from England who had his family that had been from Justek, but they immigrated long before the war. And in 2009, he had asked the town if they would reconsecrate the Jewish cemetery. Well, this tiny village in Poland, as my dad said, there was only 1,500 villagers that lived there, 500 which were Jewish. And after 1942, not one Jewish person had ever lived in that town again. And when this professor came to them and asked them to do this project, they embraced it. And when they found out that my father was a survivor from the town, they invited us back for the ceremony. And my sister, myself, my parents, my aunt, my uncle, and one of my cousins had the opportunity to go back for that special day. And when the day started, it was amazing. We pulled up to the house my dad had been born in, and immediately neighbors started coming out, asking him, "Are you the Schonwetters?" And we all kind of looked behind us and were like, "Yes." And they said, "We remember you. We were kids and we played with you when you were little." And then they pointed to the grounds where we were. And they said, "And we remember when they used your house and they separated those people and that one man ran away. And the Germans, they beat him and they left him right here. And we had to watch for 3 days while he died because they told us if we helped that we would be killed too." That was the beginning of our day. Needless to say, I did a lot of crying that day. And we first went to town hall. And about 40 townspeople showed up, where they erected a plaque on town hall to commemorate the Jewish families that had once lived in this town. And this town hall was significant to me because we found out after the war that the night my grandfather was taken, he was put in a jail cell. And a jailer was a friend, the jailer was a friend of the families. He let my grandfather out. And my grandfather showed back up a half hour later. And he said, "Do you understand what I said to you? Get out of here. Go, find your family, run, they're gonna take you." And my grandfather was the head of the Jewish community, and he said, "I know exactly what you meant. However, I am not going to run and allow them to use the excuse of me running as the reason why they should kill everybody. I will die with my people. I ask you one thing, my wife and children, please make sure that they're safe." And it was at that building that they had erected this plaque. And I remember my sister and I were shocked that so many townspeople came out. And after they did this little ceremony, they walked us down to the cemetery. And as we turned the corner, we stopped in our tracks because they had erected a huge tent. And over 600 townspeople had come out that day to witness this ceremony. They did a beautiful service. I found it ironic that my father and aunt were the VIPs with front row seats. There were people from people that remembered my dad, down to women with babes at their breasts waiting to witness this amazing thing. And we found out that the townspeople had heard about what was happening. And anonymously, they had started to dig up masonry work on their land. And they started to take anything with Jewish lettering that they could find and bring it back to the cemetery so that the headstones could be put back together. They were able to recover 33 headstones that day, one of which was my great-grandfather's. We were given the opportunity to erect a headstone for my grandfather, and my father was able to say Kaddish for the first time for his father that day. And after that, as if it was not amazing enough, they put us on buses and took us to the local high school. And these kids who don't know anything but Polish, we are in a really far place in Poland, like deep, deep down. They learned Hebrew and put a concert on for us, singing Shalom Aleichem and Hava Nagila. They Googled authentic Jewish recipes and created a 20-foot buffet of homemade Polish and Jewish food, along with a kosher section for those that observed. And I have to be honest with you, the whole day, you know what was going through my mind? What's in it for them? Come on. There is no way they're doing this just because they're good people. And the whole day, I couldn't find an answer. At the end of the day, my sister and I went up to the mayor, and we looked him straight in the eye, and we said, we want to thank you for what you've done here today. You've given us a place for us to take our children back to. And he looked at us straight in the eye, and he goes, I don't want your thanks. There's no thanks necessary. This was the only thing to do and the right thing to do. I was amazed. I had heard about the anti-Semitism in Poland, and it exists. I am not here to say it doesn't exist. It does. But to know that there's this small pocket of hope in such an ugly world changed my life forever. That's what motivated me to come back and start interviewing my dad and creating a blog about his story and eventually writing the book. Another brave soul, a few years later, actually found the mass grave that my grandfather had been murdered in. Someone had anonymously brought back a tombstone and had marked that grave. And in 2011, my father took another trip back to the memorial that they built there, commemorating where all these Jews had died. My sister and I had the opportunity to bring our children back in 2015. Again, this town opened their arms, treated us, they had gift bags for us at the mayor's office when we got there. So I guess what I'm here to say is tolerance, respect, perseverance, they're words that we hear, but there really is goodness out there. It's sometimes hard to remember that. But if we treat each other with respect and treat each other with fairness, no matter what you look like or what religion you are, maybe we can have a little bit of kindness in this world that will be a little louder than the hatred that we hear. Thank you so much.
Verse. The Jew becomes rushed and flown. Unsure is for him each day. His life is a sinister night. His aspirations, all is closed to him. Seems every door is closed for me. The Jew is persecuted at every turn. There is no room for him. Where can I go to? Who can answer me? Where can I go to? When every door is locked. The world is big enough. Only to me it's small and crowded. Like a glance, I must go back. Each bridge is blocked. Where can I go to? These lyrics were written by playwright Igor Korntyre, Polish-Jewish lyricist, poet, and actor. He arrived in the Lodz Yiddish Theater in 1918 and eventually moved to Warsaw in 1926. He died in the gas chambers of Auschwitz in 1941. The music was composed by Oskar Struck, who studied music in St. Petersburg. He lived and worked in several different countries in Europe as a pianist, and he also played other instruments. He composed and wrote songs, ballads, waltzes, and jazz pieces. His special love was the tango. Wohin soll ich gehen is one of his best-known compositions. He survived the Shoah and died in 1975. Our joint performance this evening with Yavneh is dedicated to the memory of the legendary Elie Wiesel, who passed away last year on July 2nd. The next song is called Ani Mamin. It's our third year back here. Thanks for always having us back. Special thank you to the committee. It's our third time singing the song Ani Mamin. This haunting melody is attributed to Azriel David Fastag, the Mudjitzer Chassid, whose compositions were regularly sung in the court of the Mudjitzer Rebbe, Rabbi Shaul Yedidya Elazar. He reportedly composed the tune in a cattle car while being taken to Treblinka. Fastag announced that he would give half of his share of the world to come to whomever would bring this tune to the Mudjitzer Rebbe, who had escaped Europe in 1940. Two men took him off on his offer and leaped from the moving train. One of them died from the fall, but the other survived and eventually brought this tune to the Rebbe's son in Israel, who sent his father the musical score. This tune was sung by dozens of Jews as they marched to the gas chambers in the Nazi death camps. In addition to Yom Hashoa, some also sing it at the Pesach Seder in memory of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, which began on the first night of Passover in 1943. At this time, we'd like to bring back Marsha Motzen and the Yavneh Choir.
Thank you. This last song is called Zognit Kainmo, also referred to as Partisaner Lied, or partisan song. This song is considered one of the chief anthems of Holocaust survivors and is sung at Holocaust memorial services around the world. The lyrics of the song were written in 1943 by Hirsch Glick, a young Jewish inmate of the Vilna ghetto. The title means "Never Say" and derives from the first line of the song. Never say that you have reached the final road. During World War II, Zognit Kainmo was adopted by a number of Jewish partisan groups operating in Eastern Europe. It became a symbol of resistance against Nazi Germany's persecution of the Jews and the Holocaust. Let's all stand up together and sing this last song.
Tfilah la'ani ki atof, v'lefnei Adonai yispoch sicho, Adonai shemas tfilasi, v'shavasi elecha savo. Al taster panecha mimeni biyom sarli, hatei elai oznecha biyom ekra, maher aneni. Ki chalu ba'ashan yamai v'atzmosai k'moked nichoru, huka cha'esev yivash libi, ki shachachti me'achol lachmi. Mikol anchasi, davka atmi livsari, damisi likas midbar, hayisi kechos charavos. Shakariti v'hayek tzipor boded al gog. Kol hayom cherfuni ovai, maholalai binishbo, ki efer kolechem achalti, v'shikuvai b'vchi masachti. Mipnei z'amcha v'kitzpecha, kinos asani v'tashlicheni, yamai kitzel natui, Vani ka'esav yivash, v'ata Adonai li'olam teshev, v'zichrecha l'dor v'ador, ata sakum terachem Sion, ki eis l'chenena, ki va moed, ki ratzu avadecha es avaneha, v'es afara yechonenu, v'yeru goyim es shem Adonai, v'kol malchei ha'aretz es kvodecha, ki vana Adonai Sion, nira b'chvodo, pana el tfilas ha'arar, V'lo vaza es tefilasam, Tikasev zos l'dor acharon, v'yam nivra yahalel yah, ki hishkif mimrom kodsho, Adonai mishamayim el eretz hibit. L'shmo en kasa sir, l'fateach b'nei smusa, l'saper b'tzion shem Adonai, u'shilaso b'Yerushalayim. Bikavetz amim yachdav, u'mamlachos la'avodas Adonai, inav aderech kochi, kitzar yamai, Omar Eli al ta'aleni b'chatzi yamai, b'dor dorim shnosecha, l'fanim ha'aretz yasadita, u'maseh yadecha shamayim, Hema yovedu v'ata samod v'chulam kabeged yivlu kalvush tachlifein v'yachalofu v'yatahu shnosecha lo yitamu v'nei avadecha yishkonu v'zaram l'fanecha yikon. A prayer of the afflicted man when he swoons and pours forth his supplications before Hashem. Hashem, hear my prayer and let my cry reach you. Hide not your face from me on the day of my distress. Incline your ear to me on the day that I call. Answer me speedily. For my days are consumed in smoke, and my bones are charred as a furnace, smitten like grass by the sun, until withered is my heart, for I have forgotten to eat my food. From the sound of my sigh, my bone has clung to my skin. I am like the bird of the wilderness. I have become like the owl of the wasteland. I have been diligent, yet I remain like a lonely bird upon a rooftop. All day long my enemies revile me, those who boisterously ridicule me curse by me. For I have eaten ashes like bread, and mixed my drink with tears. Because of your anger and your wrath, for you have raised me high and hurled me down. My days are like a lengthened shadow, and I wither away like grass. But you, Hashem, will be enthroned forever, and your mention is in every generation. You will arise and show Zion mercy, for there will come the time to favor her, for the appointed time will have come. For your servants have cherished her stones and favor her dust. Then the nations will fear the name of Hashem, and all the kings of the earth your glory. For Hashem will have built Zion, he will have appeared in his glory. He will have turned to the prayer of the devastated one, and not despised their prayer. Let this be recorded for the last generations, so that the newborn nation will praise God. For he gazed from his exalted sanctuary, Hashem looked down from heaven to earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner, to liberate all those doomed to die, to declare in Zion the name of Hashem and his praise in Jerusalem. When nations gather together in kingdoms to serve Hashem, he has afflicted my strength on the way, he has shortened my days. I say, O my God, do not remove me in the midst of my days. Your years endure through all generations. Previously you had laid the earth's foundation, and the heavens are your handiwork. They will perish, but you will endure. All of them will wear out like a garment. You will exchange them like a cloak, and they will pass on. But you will remain the same, and your years are endless. Your servants' children shall be settled, and their children will be established before you.
We continue with our commemoration of both survivors and survival. More than 3/4 of a century has passed since the beginning of the official effort to permanently extinguish the flame of world Jewry. From the bleak and black darkness of that senseless but spite-filled slaughter emerged the survivors, who struggled to rekindle the embers of the nearly smothered light of our last generation. We will in a moment be asking the survivors seated at tonight's commemoration to rise, candles in hand, turn and stand facing our Teaneck community. As we gaze upon the few and ever-decreasing numbers of pinpoints of light, we honor these glowing lights as we remember our extinguished ones. We honor your bravery and remember the glory of our martyrs. We honor your strength and fortitude as we remember the strength and fortitude of our lost ones. We honor the commitment and perseverance of our survivors and hope that we have the strength to carry that brightly lit torch which emanated from their embers. I now ask the survivors to rise, candles in hand, and face those assembled for tonight's commemoration. Please be seated. As in past years, we will be reciting the names of those lost in the Shoah, relatives of members of our own community. With each family name and all the individuals within each family comes a face, a story, and a long history, and a painful realization that a branch of that family tree was traumatically severed. We mourn until this very day for having lost our most prized possession, a generation of our people. At tonight's commemoration, the 6 million will be symbolically represented by 6 survivors. Edith Burju from Vienna, Austria. Her family escaped to Czechoslovakia. For 3 years, she was in hiding with her uncle and his family in their factory. They were in a hidden room under an attic floorboard. The Nazis came to search the attic but did not find the secret floorboard. Her father had given Edith to her uncle to save her. Her father was taken away and perished in Auschwitz. Her brother was sent to a relative but was never heard from again. After she was liberated, Edith went to the railroad station every day hoping that her father would return. He never did. She learned that her aunt and family had survived, so she went with them to a DP camp and then to the United States. Judy Burju Moldovan and Dina Moldovan.
Irving Levine, unfortunately, was not able to be with us tonight, but his son and grandson, Selwyn Levine and Avi Levine, are here. And so I'll say a few words about Irving, who is from Ośmiany, Poland. When the Germans entered the town in 1941, his brother was killed. After several months, his family moved into the Ośmiany ghetto. From there, they were transported to the Stutthof death camp, where his mother was killed. Irving and his father and his brother were then sent to Dachau, where his father died at his side 3 months before liberation. After being liberated by the American Army in May of 1945, he was reunited with his sister, who had survived Stutthof. He then went to a DP camp in Austria, where he remained for 4 years prior to arriving in America in 1949. This evening, Toby Isaac will be taking his place. She's from Slovakia. She hid on a farm, and when discovered, was taken to the labor camp Novaki, where she spent over 1.5 years. When the Russians came, she escaped and hid in the mountains with the partisans, with little food, with lots of fighting, until she was captured by Hungarians. When the war ended, she found that her parents had not survived. An uncle sent for her to come to America.
Rose Reisbaum from Tomaszów Mazowiecki, Poland. When the Nazis swept into Tomaszów Mazowiecki in September 1939, Rose, the youngest of 11, went to Białystok, then part of Russia. When she tried to go home, she was arrested and sent to a slave labor camp in Siberia. In spite of the grueling work and hunger, Rose survived. Upon release, she went to Uzbekistan. There she met Max Reisbaum, also from Tomaszów, whom she eventually married. In 1946, Rose, Max, and infant Toby went back to Tomaszów, where she learned that most of her very large family had been murdered in Treblinka. Of the 11,300 Jews in Tomaszów Mazowiecki before the war, only 200 survived. After spending 5 years in a DP camp in Germany, the family emigrated to the United States in 1952. Toby Glick, David Glick, and Maya Glick.
One other of our candlelighters, Inga Roman, and her family also were not able to participate tonight. In their place is Frida Rotmill and her family. Frida was from Antwerp, Belgium, survived by acquiring an assumed name with falsified papers under the Vichy regime. She ultimately fled to Switzerland to avoid capture. Her 3 sisters also survived. Her parents were taken from Antwerp to Auschwitz, where they perished. She is here with Alan Rotmill and Deborah Haramati.
Norbert Strauss from Bad Homburg, Germany. As a young boy living in Frankfurt, he was witness to Kristallnacht in November of 1938. His father left Germany in May of 1939 on the ill-fated St. Louis, only to return to Holland, but later, through good fortune, he obtained a visa to America. Norbert's mother was able to bribe a Gestapo officer who obtained tickets for her and her 2 sons to fly out of Munich in 1941 and immigrate to the United States via a ship from Lisbon. His self-published book, My Stories, details his family and personal history. Currently, he is a volunteer speaker at schools and commemorations locally and in Germany. Esther Perl, Rabbi Ari Perl, and Sarit Perl.
Henry Wertheimer from Frankfurt, Germany, in 1935 when the Nuremberg laws were introduced, making life increasingly difficult for Germany's Jews, Henry's father moved the family to Paris. When Germany invaded France in 1940, the family fled to Limoges, where Henry's father was stationed in various military camps until his deportation to Majdanek death camp. Henry went into hiding in 1944 using false papers, masquerading as Henry Weber, a Catholic farmer's helper. He lived as a Christian in hiding for 6 months until Paris was liberated in November of 1944, at which time he was reunited with his mother and sister. His family came to the United States in April of 1946, and he has lived with his family in Teaneck since 1959. He's here with Janet Spitz, Talia Galender, and Max Galender.
The names that you are about to hear should serve as inspiration to remind all of us that what is essential is that all Israel of the past, present, and future be bound together for Jewish survival. May God dry our tears and give us a clear vision and the moral and spiritual strength to continue where our departed have left off. These we have lost.
The family of Nurit and Gary Adler.
The Adlers, the Hasenfratzes, the family of Peter and Ruth R. Adler.
The Stearns, the family of Seymour and Rivki Adler.
Devorah Esther Adler, the Winselbergs, the family of Daniel and Gabrielle Altman.
The Altmans, the Bluths, the Goldmans, Yitzchak Yarblum, Miriam Nadel. The family of Charles and Joanne Bacall.
The Bakalchiks, the Scharfs, the family of Shirley and Hadley Bach.
The Bachs, the Reinfelds, the Schwartzes, the Grosses, the family of Ofra and Adam Backenroth.
The Backenroth, the Horshovskis, the Lifshitzes, the Schlamkewitzes, the Schneidermans, the family of Zita and Kenneth Bander.
The Davidoviches, Rosie Einhorn, Peitza Farkas, Jaska Fogel and 2 sisters, the Kassirers, the Shiners, Shlomi Stein, the Stobers, Bella Vider and family, Mariam Wolf. The family of Shlomo and Sarah Barber.
Sarah Bama Golova, Dvorah Golova Krieger, Tsina Golova Katz, Miriam and Moshe Morgenstern, Shimon Golova, Joseph Safran, the Barbers, the Bernsteins, the Herrings, the Krempelholzes, the Schnitzers, the Weisblums, the Zilbermans, the family of Moshe and Passy Rosen-Beowitz.
Chaya and Mordechai Ephraim Fischel Rosenhutz, the Rosens. The family of Helene and Peter Benz.
The Berliners, the Jonases, Isidore Meister, the family of Rochelle Choina-Berger.
Yisrael Yaakov Choina, the Coopers, the Sabutskis. The family of Laszlo and Edna Berkovitz.
The Berenses, the Grunspans, the Berkovitzes, the Waltner family, the family of Bruno Bieler.
The Bielers, the Gerstens. The family of Martin and Irene Black.
The Blacks, the Isaacs, the Brofmans, the Hausmans, the Lifganses, Mina Reese and 4 children, the Rosenbaums, Frieda Herman, Elise Ekman. The family of Brian and Cindy Goldstein Blitz.
The Goldsteins, the Levies. The family of Gilbert Bob.
The Ailes, the Bobs, Golda Tinter Brownfeld, the Fines, the Gimpels, Shmarya Tinter, the family of Eleanor and Frank Breslau.
Carl Breslau, the family of Leora and Etta Brovman.
The Ratners, the Epsteins, the Narulanskis, the family of Rose and Noah Burstein.
The Bursteins, the Mandels, the Swartzes. The family of Ephraim and Chava Kasper.
The Shkulevskis, the family of Fega Pearl Fishman Cohen.
The Berkowitzes, the Fishmans, the Goldmans. The family of Lynn Engelberg Damari.
The Einhorns, the Shermans, the family of Barry and Ellen Finkelstein Down.
The Coopermans, the Lebsellers. The family of Sam and Fran Ebel.
The Ebels, the Davidoviches, the Grosses, the Lazars, the Makwets, the Strulowitzes, the Wishners, the family of Arlene Steinlauf Ice and Arthur Ice.
The Browns, the Goldners, the Stearns, the family of Phyllis Goldman Eisenman.
The Feldmans, the Goldmans, the Klogsfalls, the Lipskers, the Nymans, the Saltzmans, the family of Toby Englard Isaac.
The Engelards, the Goldsteins, the family of Amy Elfman.
The Elfmans, the Siderskis, the family of Renee Epstein.
The Rosensteins, the Gunzenhausers, the family of Hilary Eth and Martin Fine.
The Fonfines, the family of Shimon and Goldie Feld.
The Battalions, the Bursteins, the Feldfabers, the Hendlisches, the Mallins, the Orlovskis, the Redziners, the Rubensteins, the Solomons, the Steinbecks, the Trymans, the Zuckermans. The family of Charles and Rella Levenstein Feldman.
Malka Ankerman, the Menashes, the Dulles, the Levensteins, Bela Levenstein Pantirer, Yisrael Rakovsky, Moshe Walnerman, the family of Marty and Leora Adler Feinberg.
The Adlers, Nomi Eisner. The family of Carol and Jack Forgash.
The Kaufmans, the family of Kenneth Fox.
The Fuchses, the Grunbergs, the Blumenthals. The family of Steve and Sherry Fox.
The Fuchses, the Wexlers, the family of Jerry and Eleanor Rohr Frankel.
The Abrahams, the Lubovitzes, the Rohrs. The family of Morton and Esther Friedman.
The Friedmans, the Gessells, the Dermikes, the Katzenellenbaums, the Schneiweisses, the Shines, the Tzalkaloviches, the Katzes, the Zandis, the Kahns, the family of Thomas and Marcia Friedman.
The Friedmans, the Feiners, the Schlosses, Thomas Platt, Amalia Levy. The family of Paula and Howard Friedman.
Max and Rose Joseph, the family of Isaac Fromm.
Philip and Hilda Fromm, Chaya Fromm, Sarah Glickstein. The family of Dror and Karen Siegelfutter.
The Rosenbergs, the Katzes, Meir Zaluski, the family of Stephen Gelb and Miriam Holmes.
The Abelises, the Hochsites, the Kirschenbaums, 2 children of Adel and Kessel Gewurz, Chava, Nachman Jakubowitz and family, Brandel and Simcha Kahan and 4 children, Toba and Moshe Treiber and family, the Kleinmans, the Menlowitzes, the Rosenwassers, the Roths, the family of Andrew and Beverly Geller.
The Kolaches, the Schickas, the family of Nate and Lynn Light Geller.
The Pines family, the Mirsky family, the Schreinigs, the Gluck family, the family of Anna Tsukir Gerard.
The Sukirs, the Gerards, the family of Rose Gersberg.
The Weingartens, the Adlers, the Sushmans, the Fingerhoots, the family of Andor and Gloria Gladstein.
The Gladsteins, the family of Peter Glick and Toby Reisbaum Glick.
The Glicks, the Greenspans, the Kassirers, the Reisbaums, the family of Ira and Renee Stein-Getz.
The Getzes, Herman Marks, Itzchak Schoenfeld and family, the family of Phyllis and David Goldschmidt.
Lucy Goldschmidt, the Pasiglis, the family of Karen and Sam Groner.
The Groners, the family of Maurice and Felicia Lou Grossman.
The Kahanas, the Levs, the Lebersteins, Freda Leberstein Zucker, Balbina Leberstein Guzik, the family of Kurt and Mara Gruskin.
The Berger family of Munich, the family of Jack Hamburg.
Avram Yoel and Devorah Buchner Hamburg, Shimon Hamburg. The family of Philip Hanfling.
The Hanflings, the Learners, the family of Roz and Alan Hantman.
The Franks, the family of Jeanette Lifshitz Heistein and Deborah Lifshitz Veach.
The Lifshitzes, the Zuckermans, the Liebermans, the family of Arnon Hiller.
Esther Silberlich, the family of Dennis and Arlene Hirschfelder.
Isidor Hirschfelder, the family of Barbara and Simcha Hochman.
The Deutsches, the Gedales, the Cohens. The family of Rachel and Avi Hochstein.
Itta Goldberg, the Scala family, the family of Kenny and Janet Andron Hoffman.
The Schwartzes. The family of Aviva, David, and Zahava Horowitz.
The Kaufmans, the Horowitzes, the Rottenbergs, the Weisses, the family of Phil and Janet Hyman.
The Hechts. The family of Charles and Helen Mintz Eikowitz.
The Mintzes, the Eikowitzes, the Glazers, the Klutzes, the family of David and Marcia Jacobowitz.
The Benchkovskis, the Eisens, the Liebermans, the Neseburskis, the Rosenwalds, the Wallmans, the Yakuboviches, the Zarnovitskis. The Topel Jaskol family.
The Topels, the Kozlovskis, the Askolkas, the Rosenbergs, the family of David and Richard Kahn.
The Kahns. The family of Joseph Kaplan.
Zali Abraham, Viola Brecher and 3 children, the Browns, Goldie Davidovitz, husband and 3 children, Labish Gutman, the Kaplans, the Kleins, Esti Zuckerman, husband and 2 children. the family of Sharon Penkower Kaplan.
The Hersteins, the family of Hannah and Brian Katz.
The Zaxes, the family of Reevy Kanarick Katz.
The Bornsteins, the Grunbaums, the family of Betty Gutwine Kay.
The DeRovens, the Gutwines, the Rosenbergs, Naomi Sampson, the family of David and Suzanne Kelson.
The Herbsts, the Kelsons, Flora Kirshheimer. The family of Daniel and Janice Klein.
The Kleins, the Kahans, the Leibowitzes, the family of Sherry and Philip Klein.
Shalom Bergstein, the Chernovskys, the Machabenskys, the Zilbermanses, the Herrings, the Hirschhorns. The family of Mark and Naomi Noller.
Ludwig and Eva Noller, Max and Rosa Joseph, Arthur Zucker, the family of Michael and Regina Meyers-Koenig.
The Koenigs, the Farkases, the Fuchses, the Meyrovitzes, Wolf Jakubowicz, Sruel Hirsch. The family of Eleanor Cohn and Barry Obut.
The Glasses, the Cohns, the Strausses, the family of Reuben Kulik and Francis Flug.
The Flugs, the Broners, the family of Joyce and Joseph Korn.
The Korns, the Schwartzes, the family of Bernard and Jill Kornmel.
The Leaders, the Kornmels, the family of Leib Koifman.
The Koifmans, the Schwartzmans, the family of Martin and Linda Sidletsky-Krar.
The Freilichs, the Sidletskys, the Cedars, the Weinert-Wagner family, the family of Risey Krinsky.
The Goldmans, Sarah Goldman Locker and family, the family of Walter and Marion Horngrad Krug.
Marianne Adler, the Horngrads, the Jassers, the Krugs. The family of Charlotte and Nathan Krugman.
The Hertzes, the Breslauers, the Reutlingers, the Strausses, the family of Manny and Judy Landau.
The Landaus, the Weitzners, the Flatos, the Zuckermans. The family of Esther Lauber and Alvin Reinstein.
The Blondes, the Laubers, the Ambaruses, the Reinsteins, the family of Emily Kaplansky-Leben and Ella Kaplansky-Hyman.
The Kaplanskys, the Kinas, the Kudlas, the Nowaks, the Schleiger family. The family of Eve and Ralph Lee.
The family of Aviva Lefel.
The Moskowitzes. The family of Alden and Evelyn Leifer.
The Flatos, Libmanoviches, the Rosenbaums, the Schlissels, the family of Eileen Leisner and Barry Winokur.
Nechama Cohen, Fege Horn, the Leisners. The family of Mark and Dina Weiss-Levy.
The Zeigeltuchs, the Weisses, the Borgers, Valdemar Levy, the Solomons, the family of Robert and Helen Belsenbaum Levine.
The Hoffmans, the Landaus. The family of Toddy and Trudy Newman Levine.
The Schlesingers, the family of Anne Wolfowitz-Lukowitz.
The Liedermans, Chaya Lukowitz, Yehuda Singer, the Wolfowitzes, Simcha Yaskowitz. The family of Eva and Lee Liebman.
The Bachs, the Buxbaums, the Kahns, the Künzlers, the Liebmans, the Oppenheimers, the Rinbergs, the Schwartzes, the Wallensteins. The family of Yocheved and Nathan Lindenbaum.
The Grunbergers, the Elbogans. The family of Hazan Leon Lissick and Judge Michal Lissick.
Samuel Max Lissick. The family of Beverly Luchfeld and Jack Flamholtz.
The Flamholtzes, the Honigsfelds, the Kleiners, the Luchfelds, Sarah Mergenstein, the Mendels, the Prosers, the Nymans, the Silversteins. The family of Jeanette Messing Malka.
The Messings, the Walkenbergs. The family of Ralph and Judith Marcus.
The Gersheimers, the Strausses. The family of Shlomo and Hilary Margalovich.
Bertha Berger, Heinrich Hermann, Hermina Saxel, Arthur and Ida Toch. The Markel, Ender, Givon, and Simpkin families.
Moshe and Cyril Aaron, the Sapelewitzes, the Frolingers, Gita Simpkin. The family of Danny and Carol Singer-Metzger.
The Singers. The family of Anita and Jerry Milch.
Yosef and Gittel Hillman. The family of Barry and Evelyn Gitter Morris.
Solomon Gitter, the Laufers, the Nagelbergs, the Nestles, the Stearns, the Sushers. The family of Noel and Judy Burju Moldovan.
The Burjus, the Cohns. The family of Dov Nahari.
The Teisches. The Knorr family.
The Brudners, the Eppelmans, the Olovitzers. The family of Arona and Milton Oring.
The O-Rings, the family of Mashi and Bob Oppenheimer.
The Goldbergers, the Teitelbaums, the Schwartzes, the Mazes, the Seligs. The family of Judy Ornstein and Gabby Muth.
The Levies, the Muths, the Orensteins, the Tellers, the family of Harold and Esther Strauss Pearl.
The Berkowitzes, the Hershkowitzes, the Strausses, the Kohlhagens, the Halberstats, the Posens, Fege Gittel Hoch, the Pearls, Rachel Posen and daughter, Malka Wurzberger. The family of Susan and Bob Rapkin.
Rachel Schachter, the Stearns, the family of Walter and Ruth Ramsfelder.
The Burks, the Forrests, the Judases, Emil and Rosal Mayer and 2 children. The family of Philip and Marlene Hoffman Rhodes.
The Hoffmans, Serena Konigsbach, the Raduskowitz family, the family of Inga and Charles Roman.
Leopold Roman, the Edelsteins, the Leopolds, the Strausses. The family of David and Susan Rosenbaum.
The Kuyovskis, the Rosenbaums, the family of Jean and Toby Roth Rosenberg.
The Roths, the Browns, Fega Hershkovitz. The family of Saul Gelbard Rosenberg.
The Gelbards, the Schlafmix, the Srempniks, the Auslanders, Moshe Rosen, the family of Rabbi Harvey and Barbara Hahn Rosenfeld.
The Hans, the Pachs, the Landauers. The family of Martin Rosenfeld.
The Samuels, the Markoviches, the Heiners, the Rosenfelds, the family of Albie and Manoah Rotenberg.
The Gerays, the family of Joseph and Barbara Rosenzweig Rotenberg.
The Rosenzweigs, the Rotenbergs, the Klugs, the family of Frieda Rotmill and Pauline and Alan Rotmill.
The Bernsteins, the Frankels, Rachel Rotmill-Nishitsky, Jacques Nishitsky. The Rotmills, the Trebishes, Pearl Werbner. The family of Israel and Miriam Kidievitz Solomon.
The Kidievitzes, the Koplowitzes, the Solomons, Chana, Shemaiah and daughter, Naphtali Springer, Rachel Zimmitbaum Springer, the family of Arlene and Michael Sand.
The Sands, the Summers, Charna Newman, Helen Berkowitz and family, Shlomo Breiner and family. The family of Rabbi J.J. and Yocheved Weisbord Schachter.
The Weisbords, the family of David and Sharon Schild.
The Steins, the Shields. The family of Charlene and Myron Schulman.
The Honigs, the Malameds, the family of Joseph and Deborah Glatt Schuster.
The Glotts, the Friedmans, the Goldrads, the Cormans. The family of Tammy and Kenny Sisemsky.
Lazar and Dubrish Yatkovitz, Sarah and Shia Wolf Moskoff. David Sigelman, the Sisemskis, the Goldbergs, the family of Yetta, Marshuk, Selengut, and Charles Selengut.
The Gold Samlers, the Katzes. The family of Aggie Seletsky, Jerry Barda, and Judy Damian.
The Blaus, the Browns, the Frisches, the Greenblatts. The family of Larry and Blanche Hampel Silver.
The Eisensteins, the Jacobowitzes. The family of Hannah Simmons.
The Mincers, the Waxmans, the family of Gedalia and Elisheva Sinensky.
The Sinenskys, the Markowitz, the Moskowitzes, the Indigs. The family of Alex Solomon.
The Solomons, the family of Roy and Dvorah Aftel Spiewak.
The Aftels, Alter Haftel, the Liebermans. The family of Samuel and Gilda Ingol Spinat.
The Gewurzes, Esther, Rachel, the family of Kalman and Elke Krather Stein.
The Mermelsteins, the Rosners, the family of Philip and Shelley Stein.
The Gelteners, the family of Harold I. and Beryl J. Steinbach.
Hershita Steinbach, the Feldfabers, the Orlovskis, the Odenbergs, the Zacks, the Halperns, the Schwartzes. Moshe Bloom, the Zeislers. The family of Ronnie and Beth Stern.
The Sterns, the Lieblings, the Ehrlich, Samuel Zweig, Joseph Klein. The family of Yitz and Gila Stern.
The Sterns, the Grossman Pollocks, the Frommers, the Lowies. The family of Felice Zimmern Stokes.
The Zimmerns, the family of Bennett and Linda Storfer.
The Storfers, the family of Justin and Robin Strauss.
The Strausses, the Hilbs, the Berliners, the family of Jean and Fred Strauss.
Heinz Ansbacher, Irma Lieb, the Schlossbergers, the Strausses, the Ornsteins, the Lowensteins, the Hymans. The family of Margie and Abner Strauss.
The Bachs, the Reinfelds, the family of Norbert and Dorothy Strauss.
The Strausses, the Kohlhagens, the Halberstadts, the Posens, the Meltzers, Alexander Karpov. The family of Mike and Marilyn Taffet.
The Taffets, the family of Debbie and Mark Teicher.
The Lowingers, the Gottliebs, the Friedmans. The family of Deborah and Glenn Tolchin.
The Geisels family, the Lorbers, the family of Marcia and Robert Trins.
The Blooms, the Eichbaums. The family of Nachum and Sivya Lebovitz Twersky.
The Levovitzes, the Twerskys, the family of Helene and Sylvan Wallenstein.
The Shores, Betty Meyer, Martha and Adolf David. The family of Irma David Strauss. Regina and Jacob Ice. The family of Alex Wien.
The Herskowitzes, the Koppitz, the Rosenfelds, the family of David and Ruth Welkowicz, and Robert and Sarah Welkowicz Goodman.
The Altmans, the Grosses, the Kleins, the Velkovitzes. The family of Henry Wertheimer.
Margot Koenig, Nathan Wertheimer, the family of Gilda Messing Winters.
The Messings, the Brands, the Wachtels. the family of Francis Ginsberg Wolf and Ed Wolf.
The Ginsberg, the Kosiankas, the Wolfs, the family of Barbara and Neil Yaros.
The Rabinowitzes, the Spiegels. The family of Irving and Marilyn Zeidel.
The Greenbergs, the Laders, the Strasbergs, the Yuskoviches, the Zeidels, the family of Morris and Elaine Zimmerman.
The Browners, the Markowitzes, the Zimmermans. The family of Phyllis and Sandy Zlotnick.
The Fleischers, the Zlotnicks. Tiyena nafshotehem tzurot bitzor hachayim.
Please rise. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei Rabbah B'yalma divrach Yerusei v'yamlich malchusei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beis Yisrael Ba'agalav v'zman koriv v'imru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach li'olam elomei maya Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisromam v'yisnasei V'yisador, v'yisalev, v'yisalol, shmei dekudesha berichu. Li'ela min kol berchasa v'shirasa, tush bechasa v'nechem asa, da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. El mole rachamim, shoichein b'meroimim, Hamitzei minucha nechayna al kanefei hashechiena b'mahalois kidoshim utehayerim kizoyahorakeya Mazirim Hes Nishmois Acheinu B'nei Yisrael HaKadoshim Shehu Misu V'shenehergo V'shenishchato V'shenisrefo V'shenitbeyo V'shenechneko Al Kiddush Hashem Bavor Shani noider tzedaka Biyad hazikoras nishmoisehem Miganei Eden tehei menuchosam Lochein balorachamim Yasetirem B'seiser kinafav li'olamim V'yitziror b'yitziror achayim Es nishmoisem Adonai chalosam v'yanuchu b'shalayim al mishkevoisehem